Today we made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable and accounts for their interests, their security, their ability to prosper as a nation. Hopefully we'll take this offer now to the Russians. And we hope that they'll say yes, to peace. The ball is now in their court. And I think today Ukraine has taken a concrete step in that regard. We hope the Russians will reciprocate.
They made concrete.
Yes, indeed. We do hope the Russians will reciprocate. This is great news. I have been wanting this for such a long time. This is why I've been so hard on fucking douchebag Zelensky, because he refused to even accept a ceasefire. Yes, I get where he's coming from. Oh, Putin hasn't agreed to this before, and or if he has agreed to a ceasefire, he breaks it and continues his attack anyway. Sure, but we got to start somewhere, and Trump wasn't in charge at that time, right? Putin didn't do a goddamn thing while Trump was in charge. Trump feels like he's got a vibe on Putin, and he feels like he could fix this fucking thing. And so far, it's been Zelensky. He's the first step, right? Ukraine needs to come to the table first so that Trump can go to Putin and say, okay, here's our deal. We got Ukraine to the table. Here's what we're asking. Here's where we can go from here. Now the ball is in the court of Putin. And here's actually Putin did make a comment on this. Here's what he had to say. Oh, that's Trump.
We agree with the proposals to end hostilities, but we proceed from the fact that this end should be such that it would lead to long-term peace and eliminate the root causes of the crisis. But I think that we need to talk about this with our American colleagues, partners, maybe call President Trump and discuss it with him. But the idea itself, to end this conflict by peaceful means, is supported by us.
CNN chief.
So Putin, at least on the surface, in his words, he's willing to come to the table, but he's got to figure he's got to hear everything out. He agrees in theory to this, but now we got to have the conversation on our side. And now's the time to put the pressure on Putin. We put the pressure on Zelensky. He's now come around and come to the table. He's willing to do everything. He's willing to sign the mineral rights deal, which just gives us a cut. It gives us first dibs to mine there and take a little cut. We're not raiding them of all of their treasures, right? They're still going to be able to keep that. We're just saying we get first rights to that. And we're going to take a little cut, a little slice off the cheese, if you will. We're not raiding them. We're getting our own assurances. This brings us to the table. This continues our investment in Ukraine. Here's what Trump had to say on the Ukraine agreeing to a ceasefire for now and putting the ball in Putin's court.
Ukraine, ceasefire. Ukraine, ceasefire. Just agreed to a little while ago. Now we have to go to Russia and hopefully President Putin will agree to that also. And we can get this show on the road. We can get this horrible war where 2,000-3,000 soldiers a week, every week, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 sometimes. I get the reports. And they're not American soldiers. They're Ukrainian and they're Russian. But people are being killed outside of that. People are being killed in the cities as things explode throughout the cities. And we want to get that war over with. So I think...
I'm astonished at all the lefties that want continued war. I don't know when the point in time came where lefties became the warmongers, and all of a sudden they're just, Putin's Hitler, and he's going to take over Europe and then the world, and we need to stop him, and we need to keep fighting, and Ukraine's so brave and so strong, and blah, 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 blah. Let's end this goddamn war. Put an end to it. It's got to be done. I am proud of Zelensky coming to the table. I am proud that Ukraine has stepped up, that they are willing to do their part. Now I agree the pressure needs to be put on Putin. You know, a lot of people were saying, oh, Trump's in the pocket of Putin and he refuses to take a big shit on Putin. Yeah, because how are you going to negotiate a fucking deal with a guy when you're calling him Hitler, refusing to speak to him, and you continue to fund his oppositions? How are you going to bring him to the table? Right? Biden came out, called him Hitler, said he's going to take over the whole world. How is Biden going to get Putin to negotiate a fucking peace deal? Talking like that? Everybody's a bunch of dummies. A bunch of dummies. Trump wrote The Art of the Deal. This is a guy who built his billions making deals. In New York City, by the way, in an era that was where construction was run by the mobs. So you don't think he's dealt with bad guys before, with criminals, with dirty players before? You don't think he knows how to handle these kind of people? Plus, he's been in office before. He knows Putin. Do these political commentators know Putin on the left? These CNN and MSNBC dummies that are sitting there going, oh, Trump's in the pocket of Putin. No, it's a grift. It has to be a grift because nobody's that dumb to not know that you can't negotiate with somebody when you're talking shit about them. Think about it in your own life. If you're trying to make peace with somebody, you're going to spend all your time talking shit about them on the internet? No, dummy. But now is the time to put a little bit of pressure on Putin because now he's the holdout. Now the ball is in his court. Ukraine's to the table. The United States is to the table. Will Putin stop his bullshit? Well, he hasn't yet. He's actually continuing his war and continuing the push, which is why people are like, I've seen, this was on Redacted. The dude from Redacted was sitting, I don't have the clip pulled up. I apologize for that. But he's like, well, I don't know why we're still arming Ukraine if we're doing a ceasefire, because the ceasefire hasn't been agreed to yet. And we have to have some assurances to Ukraine if they're going to come to the table too. One of them is we don't leave them hanging high and dry if Putin decides that he's not going to come to the table. Well, we pull all of our intelligence and all of our arms out of Ukraine. Putin goes, you know what? Nah, fuck you guys. I'm just going to keep rolling through Ukraine. Now Ukraine's fucked. Once they agree to a ceasefire, then we can stop sending weapons over there. Once they agree to a peace deal, we can stop sending weapons over there. Now's the time to have a strong hand. Here's General Jack Keane. He's a retired general, giving his thoughts on this situation as it sits.
Russia has a lot more challenges than their narrative would suggest. Their narrative is we're on the offense, Ukraine's on the defense, therefore they're losing. Not surprised that they push back on a ceasefire. I'm not convinced yet that Russia is serious about making major concessions and willing to compromise to get to a peace agreement. I think that really remains to be seen.
And so
he's not buying it. Other people are not buying it as well. But I think the guy who has it right here is our boy Bill O'Reilly. Fuck it, we'll do it live. He's got I think he makes the most sense here.
And then in the 30 days, there would be extended negotiations to end the war. Putin has not agreed yet. All right? I think Putin will agree, but he's going to be a pain in the butt every step of the way because he's evil. That's it. He is. And again, he doesn't care how many people die or babies are maimed, or he couldn't care less about his own people. And at the end of this broadcast in this day in history, I'm going to prove that case. Okay, all right. Now,
so Bill O'Reilly thinks, yeah, Putin's going to come to the table and he will agree to a peace deal, but he's going to be a dick about it. I expect nothing less. Of course he'll be a dick about it. Because why not? But he has not been as successful in his war as he would like you to think he has been. They have not been able to just roll through and fucking dominate Ukraine like they would like you to think. However, Ukraine would not be able to have put up the fight as long as they did without us, which is why us threatening to pull away from the table if he wasn't willing to come and make some sort of peace deal was the smart move. And we don't know what happens behind closed doors, but we got a glimpse of it when we had that awkward meeting in the White House. The left will have you think that good, just, moral, fucking beautiful human being Zelensky was in the office and he was being picked on by the mean J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. They were ambushing him. And see the whole half hour before that Zelensky spent fucking arguing and complaining and not agreeing to a ceasefire and wanting more assurances and blah, 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 blah. He was in no position to say anything. Yes, Mr. Trump, I will accept your terms because without you, I cannot even continue to fight this war. Said he wanted to be an entitled little bitch, a little fucking brat, a little punk, and be entitled to our taxpayer money to continue fighting his war. Sorry. Here's the deal. You're going to agree to a ceasefire and a mineral deal, or we're going to stop sending you money and weapons. He agreed. So now it's to Putin. And I think we should be as tough on Putin if he's not going to agree. But we got to play it smart, too. You can't just come out and call the guy Hitler and refuse to talk to him and all that shit. That's not the approach. Because that's how you get to World War III. Russia wasn't retreating or surrendering. They were calling in troops from China and North Korea. Boy, that sounds like a world war, doesn't it? Russia, North Korea, China, fighting Ukraine, Great Britain, France, the United States. It's pretty World War III, isn't it, dummies? Trump's the only guy from day one who came out and said we need to stop this now before it gets to World War III. And nobody else sees that. They just want to grift and talk their shit and hate everything that Trump does because they have TDS. When it's very obvious that if this war continues, it is not going to be Ukraine wins. LOL, sorry about your luck, Russia. It's going to continue to escalate. Other countries are going to come into it, and that's how you get World War III. The writing was right there on the wall. It still is, folks. Chinese and North Korean troops on the ground fighting, assisting Russia fighting Ukraine, who's being assisted by the United States, the UK, France. That's not good. That's not good. That's a lot of countries going to war all of a sudden. Sounds World War III-ish to me. Especially when we got a bunch of nuclear powers involved. So we have to continue to play our cards smartly. We have to approach this wise. Can't just go in and bully Putin like we did Zelensky. Zelensky's our puppet. We put him into place. Right? We overthrew the duly elected leader of that country and funded the fucking revolution against him. And we put in our own little puppet, an actor who played a president on TV. And then this little midget meatball starts acting like he's got a say in this whole thing. No! You don't. Let the grown-ups talk. But it's time to get off his back now. At least for now. He's done his part. Ukraine has done their part. Now it's up to Putin. And I will say this. If Putin refuses to end his war, then we do need to think about supporting Ukraine in retaliation. Because we can't just let him roll in and take over Ukraine. We made a deal back in the day with Ukraine for them to disarm. They were the second or third largest stockpile of nukes when Clinton made a deal with them saying, we will support you militarily. We will protect you if you disarm. But that was kind of will protect you if you are under nuclear threat. They're not really under nuclear threat quite yet. Putin has said he'll use tactical nukes, sure, but he's just boasting, right? He's just talking shit right now. But if our intelligence says that that's the next step, then yeah, I think we are obligated to stop nuclear threats, and we are obligated to stop Ukraine from being taken over completely. But we got to give up some land to Putin. He came in, he took it. He's going to get to keep some of that. That's just the facts of the matter. And if you were to try to negotiate and make a fair deal, if it was you, think about it. Set your grift aside. Set your TDS aside. Set what MSNBC tells you on TV. If you were negotiating a peace deal, you know for a fact you got to give Putin some of that land that he took. Which is probably most of the reason Putin went in. I am not a believer that Putin is trying to take over Europe. Putin didn't want NATO on his border. And he saw the opportunity with a weak president in Joe Biden. He saw Kamala Harris go over to Ukraine and pretty much verbally promise Zelensky that she would start to get the ball rolling on talks to get Ukraine into NATO. And it took less than a week for Putin to go, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. Fuck you guys. And started rolling troops in. He's not going to back out now. We have to make concessions to Putin as well. He's got to feel secure that his border is not going to get encroached on anymore going forward. This is a very touchy situation, but if anybody can do it, it's Donald Trump. And I hope he does, because this thing could go off the rails at any point in time, and it could be on the cusp of World War III. When I heard that he was calling in troops from China and North Korea, that terrifies me. Terrifies me, because there's too many countries involved. The Ukraine-Russia war could very well be the start of World War III if we don't play our cards right. We'll go ahead and we will leave it there. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. How would you approach this? What would you like to see happen? And are we going about it the right way right now, or should we not be playing so nice with Putin? Should we just fund an endless war, or do you think we are on the cusp of ending this shit? Let me know. Hit that subscribe button down below. Peace, love, and pizza. I am your boy, Seth Grimes, and we'll catch you in the next video.